ICE raids a Walmart. I want to see this.
Where outraged community members confronted federal agents. Suddenly, an unmarked truck pulled up. Men armed with AR-15s jumped out and moved in to take control of the situation.
It's like we are in a war zone in our own communities, bringing out rifles. I mean, we are your everyday civilians. You know, those weapons, they're weapons of war. You know, they're meant to, you know, protect you from the enemy. And we become the enemy.
Here's what happened just...
Okay, before we get
I think the illegal immigrants are their enemy.
Conducting an operation, I think it's pretty clear that these protesters are some of the most dangerous people in America today.
Or everything exploded.
But here's what happened.
2 Border Patrol trucks pulled into the parking lot. This man suddenly took off running. So did this maintenance worker.
Why is he running?
That's when 20-year-old Adrian Andrew Martinez saw what was happening and drove his car toward the ICE agents' vehicles.
Bad idea.
His mother, Myra Villarreal, spoke with Fox 11 News.
In the video, it shows that, you know, he was trying to help. He was telling them, you know, leave him alone. He's just working.
That's not helping. That's called interfering with a federal investigation.
Yeah, you might go to jail for that shit.
He's the guy in the blue vest.
This video shows Adrian Andrew Martinez in the blue Walmart vest appearing to talk to federal agents and an agent pushing him back. He follows and then the smartphone recording the exchange goes flying. The video picks up again as agents wrestle the 20-year-old to the ground. Oscar Preciado was the one taking the video.
Fighting them.
It says Border Patrol tried to grab him too.
He grabbed me by the neck and put the other hand behind my neck. Luckily, I was able to, you know, get him off of me and kept recording. When he saw I had the phone in my camera on, I told him I'm recording this, and then that's when he smacked my hand to get my phone out of my hand.
Preciado says this all started in the parking lot of the Walmart and Lowe's shopping center on Washington Boulevard. When Martinez was standing up for an older man, federal agents were cuffing, insisting they needed a warrant. And as far as he saw, all Martinez did.
Okay, so you see the officers push him back from the scene more than once, and then he engages with the officers physically. That's not helping at all. I'm sorry. And people wonder why these officers have to carry weapons. They're being attacked when they do their jobs.
Was taught. Preciado, who works for a delivery service, says he talks to Martinez almost every day when he comes to pick up orders at Walmart. He says the crowd was screaming he's a U.S. citizen.
And they kept trying to get us to back away. When they realized there was like 10 of us that were recording, some other guys from an unmarked vehicle came out of it with their guns in their hand, pointing at us and everything. And you could hear in one of the other videos, one of the guys like loads it up, like he cocks it like ready to, you know, open on us. And they try to intimidate us. 4 or 5 of them that were tackling that kid, and he's like maybe 100 pounds.
Tonight, Martinez's family says they do not know.
Okay, this is the classic picture of the person who attacks law enforcement, and then their family says, oh, that's not...
He was a great kid.
They're a nice guy. They're a wonderful person. He's holding an animal. That's not a recent picture of him. This is a recent picture of him with his arm around the neck of a law enforcement officer that he looks to be taller than.
They went to the federal detention center and were told he was not there, but that he is likely going to be charged with assaulting a federal officer.
I mean, he did assault an officer.
His mom, who confirms her son is a U.S. citizen, is sick with worry and says Martinez is always one to stand up for others.
I just want to say that, you know, I don't think that what he did was wrong. We all have freedom of speech, and that's what he was practicing. So, you know,
I guess we don't really know what happened.
I love him and I hope he's okay.
They knocked the camera out of his hand. Somehow it got knocked out of his hand.
And his community wants ICE out of Pico Rivera.
So, at home, his parents are telling him that it's okay to attack federal officers because that's freedom of speech, and then the whole community in this sanctuary city comes out and supports this. It's only going to lead to more of it, and now we're going to need more agents with rifles here to do their job so that they don't get hurt, and so that the fugitives they're after don't get hurt.
When 20-year-old Adrian Andrew Martinez saw what was happening and drove his car toward the ICE agent's vehicle. He reportedly works here at the Walmart. In the video, you can see the 20-year-old roll a trash bin in front of the Border Patrol truck. There's a brief exchange, and then agents rush in and take him down.
That's
now,
crazy.
moments later, suddenly, an unmarked truck pulls up. Men armed with AR-15s jump out and move in to take control of the situation.
What's with
Martinez's
all the
mother
freaking
told
blurring?
us her son, a U.S. citizen, was trying to stand up for a maintenance worker who was being detained by ICE agents when the confrontation grew physical. Meanwhile, retired LAPD Detective Moses Castillo says people should understand ICE agents have the authority to arrest anyone they believe is interfering with their investigation, and the penalties can be severe.
When you interfere with law enforcement in California, you probably get arrested for a misdemeanor and maybe not face criminal charges. But with the federal agents, you're looking at some serious federal time.
Shit.
Anywhere between 1 year in federal prison up to 8 years.
Up to 8 years in federal prison. Minimum 1.
I don't know.
So that's the thing. Local law enforcement has been totally neutralized by various levels of activism in California. These people, they're not afraid of their local cops at all. They could attack them and go after them. It's terrible. But now they're encountering federal agents, and there might be real consequences, as
Tuesday's
there
raids
should
here
be.
in the city sparked community outrage. This protest breaking out where demonstrators marched from City Hall to the corner of Rosemead in Washington. Things remained peaceful throughout that protest with no signs of violence and vandalism. And while there were fireworks there that were set off,
I'm just glad somebody got these protesters some American flags. For a second there, I thought this was an anti-American event. But there are about to be even more raids in sanctuary cities, and I think we all understand why that's incredibly important. These are bastions of criminal activity, and they have to be brought under control.
President Trump is telling immigration officials to expand deportation efforts in cities with Democratic leadership.
That list, of course, includes Los Angeles. Fox's Nate Foy reports.
In many of the same cities where we saw anti-ICE protests and riots, President Donald Trump is launching a new wave of immigration raids.
People from gangs, people from jails, they emptied their jails out into the U.S. Most of those people are in the cities.
That's right.
All blue cities. All Democrat-run cities.
They're hiding
The president pointed to several specific cities on Truth Social, writing, quote, "We must expand efforts to detain and deport illegal aliens in America's largest cities, such as Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York, where millions upon millions
Well, that would probably be a good place to start.
If you were a criminal here illegally, where would you go? Would you go to Florida where local police can help ICE? No, of course not. You'd go to a place where the workers at Walmart have been brainwashed into thinking that they should throw trash cans in front of ICE vehicles and that they should physically put their hands on officers who are trying to get dangerous criminals who snuck into our country out of it.
In New York, police
I don't know how
arrested
these people
more
got
than 100
brainwashed.
Anti-ICE protesters last week. Mayor Eric Adams said today the city will seek clarity about the president's new initiatives.
We will dig into exactly what the next steps are. We are not going to collaborate with civil enforcement.
In Chicago, where more than 10,000 protested against Trump over the weekend, Mayor Brandon Johnson promises to resist
Wait, what did he say?
deportations. But not all Chicago Democrats agree.
We have 60,000 migrant asylum seekers who are here in the city of Chicago alone, 2,000 of which Tom Homan has said have been vetted by the previous administration and found to be criminal, dangerous, both to our communities and to our country.
Los Angeles Mayor
I mean, why do we want those folks to stay here? Why do we want those folks to hide here? That doesn't make any sense. And if they're here as part of criminal organizations, they're just spreading their crime around. This is incredibly dangerous.
Yes, so Trinidad and Tobago, we've talked about them. They really were on the map because of all the immigration problems through Joe Biden. And we talked a lot. We've talked a lot over the last year about that apartment complex in Aurora. And it looks like, according to police records, they are back. This is some video of 9 suspected Trinidad and Tobago gang members that just unleashed chaos in Colorado. It's chilling doorbell video because they were knocking on neighbors' doors, apartment complex doors again, and no telling what they would have done if people had opened their doors. The police chief there, he said they weren't bringing coffee cakes, they weren't bringing welcoming trays, they brought guns. Listen.
Based upon everything that I stated here, based upon the involvement, the actions, the behaviors, the demeanor, there is without question gang involvement in this. And again, we are going to hold those individuals accountable.
Look at this.
So when we see protests here, Like, are y'all gonna block ICE and the federal agents that want to arrest these bad guys? Are y'all gonna link arms with them when they try to take them into custody? They are on the wrong side of this. And Brian, it just reminds me of that major moment when J.D. Vance is on ABC, and he was told it was just a few apartment complexes.
Well, we know that that wasn't true. And as far as I'm concerned, even one apartment complex getting cleared out by gang members who evict lawful residents is too many.
President Trump was actually in Aurora, Colorado, talking to people on the ground. And what we're hearing, of course, Martha, is that people are terrified by what has happened with some of these Venezuelan gangs.
Everyone should be terrified.
I'm going to stop you because I know exactly what happened.
Martha.
I'm going to stop you. The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border. Americans
That's
are
fucking
so
insane.
fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs.
But that's the progressive playbook. Oh, it's not a big deal, just a few apartment complexes. And in New York, where I'm at right now, oh, well, there's just a small number of gang members living in these asylum shelters recruiting other members, but we know who they are and where they live. Like, this is so stupid. This should be a big fat zero as far as the number of times stuff like this happens.
Okay, let's just end that with they did not invade or take over the city as Donald Trump
the whole
said.
City.
I want to move on to
just a few apartment complexes, no big deal.
A few apartment complexes.
Starts with a few apartments.
Did not seem was invading the entire city.
It starts with a few apartments.
What's wrong with
Of course
you?
she does.
The T-shirt was, can you listen? Do you listen to yourself?
Right.
You listen to yourself. This is so unbelievable. Number one, if the mayor doesn't have a problem with that, he should resign immediately. Right. And the governor to deny and think that Donald Trump's the problem, you have no business in that position, Governor Polis. And now that they're back, TDA,
this is crazy.
This is what the president's already made clear when he said in L.A., you can't control those riots. I'm sending in, and by the way, posting. Now he says you have a problem in Chicago. I'm going to send there. Now, Mr. President, if he's watching right now, you still got the same problem, but now you're president.
Yeah, and imagine,
so if this mayor and these police people won't take it, that you send the National Guard in right there.
Imagine living in this building.
You can't live in this building.
Since just last August, have responded to 44 calls for service at that complex related to 12 separate incidents, including threats that were made to the tenants, shots being fired, and squatting.
So y'all remember the last time Tom Homan went there? He went there with 200 federal agents, and the activists on the ground tipped the gangsters off, and they evaded arrest. So
that's what this is all about. These activists, they think that if they run out of Walmart,
they want to protect
tip
the
people
gangsters.
off, that they're making the world a better place. And the sad thing about that is their parents reinforce that decision. They say, oh, son, that was your free speech rights to put your hands on those armed federal agents, which is probably the dumbest thing you could tell somebody who's 18 and is just starting to get their life together. But it gets even worse than that, because by evading arrests, helping these gang members do that, now they're just going to get better at evading arrest. And are we watching some sort of new ice bucket challenge where the people throwing themselves at federal agents think they're earning points among their fellow progressives? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
I want to know how these people are getting so freaking brainwashed. Who's telling them all this? Well, it's absolutely not freedom of speech to attack them.